Zola, a 14-year-old girl living in the small town of Akur, found herself in a difficult situation. Despite repeated warnings from her parents, she had been secretly meeting her boyfriend. Her father's words echoed in her mind, "You're too young to have a boyfriend. Focus on being useful to yourself and leave boys alone for now." But Zola, driven by curiosity and what she thought was love, continued to disobey. She would sneak out whenever she could, making excuses to her parents about studying at a friend's house or running errands. One day, after feeling unwell for weeks, Zola realized she was pregnant. Her heart raced as she approached her boyfriend with the news. I think I'm pregnant," she stammered, her voice barely above a whisper. Her boyfriend's face drained of color. "What? No, that's impossible. It can't be mine," he said, backing away from her. Zola felt her world crumbling. But you're the only one I've been with," she pleaded. "I don't care. I'm not ready for this." "Don't tell anyone it's mine," he said coldly before walking away, leaving Zola alone and scared. For weeks, Zola struggled to keep her secret. She wore loose clothes and tried to act normal, but the fear of discovery consumed her. Every morning she woke up dreading the moment her parents would find out. One night, as she lay in bed, she overheard her parents talking in the living room. "I'm worried about Zola," her mother said. "She's been acting strange lately." "Maybe she's finally taking her studies seriously," her father replied. "It's about time she listened to us about focusing on her future." Zola felt a pang of guilt. She knew her parents had high hopes for her, and now she had let them down in the worst way possible. The fear of disappointing her parents, coupled with the terror of becoming a mother at such a young age, overwhelmed her. She imagined the shame she would bring to her family and the possibility of being kicked out of her home. "What am I going to do?" she whispered to herself, tears streaming down her face. For days, Zola wrestled with her options. She considered telling her parents, hoping they might understand, but every time she tried to bring it up, her courage failed her. One afternoon, as she walked home from school, she passed by the bus station. She stopped, staring at the buses lined up, ready to take people to far-off places. An idea began to form in her mind. That night, Zola lay awake, her mind racing. "I can't stay here," she thought. "I can't face them. I can't face anyone." The next morning, after her parents left for work, Zola made her decision. With shaking hands, she packed a small bag with some clothes and the little money she had saved. As she stood in her room one last time, she looked around at the familiar surroundings. Her school books on the desk, photos of her friends on the wall, the teddy bear she'd had since childhood sitting on her bed. Everything reminded her of the life she was about to leave behind. Zola scribbled a quick note. "I'm sorry. I love you. Please don't look for me." She left it on her bed, hoping it would buy her some time before they started searching. With a heavy heart, she slipped out of the house. As she walked toward the bus station, every step felt like lead. She kept looking over her shoulder, afraid someone might recognize her and stop her. At the bus station, Zola approached the ticket counter. Her voice trembled as she spoke to the attendant. "One ticket, please, to wherever the next bus is going." The attendant looked at her curiously but didn't ask any questions. "Next bus is to Lagos. Leaves in 10 minutes. Zola nodded, handing over most of her money for the ticket. As she waited for the bus, she thought about her parents coming home to find her gone. She imagined their worry, their anger, their disappointment. But in her mind, this was the only way. As the bus pulled up, Zola took one last look at the town she had called home for 14 years. Tears welled up in her eyes as she boarded, knowing she was leaving behind everything and everyone she knew. The bus lurched forward, and Zola watched through the window as Akur faded into the distance. She placed a hand on her stomach, feeling the weight of her decision and the uncertainty of her future. "I'm sorry," she whispered, to her parents, to her unborn child, and to herself. After several hours of driving, the bus finally came to a stop at a bustling park in Lagos. Zola stepped off the bus, her legs wobbly from the long journey. She stared wide-eyed at her new surroundings, overwhelmed by the noise, the crowds, and the towering buildings. This was nothing like her small town in Akur. "Where am I supposed to go now?" Zola muttered to herself, clutching her small bag tightly. She had spent her last naira on the bus ticket, leaving her with no money and no idea where to go. The reality of her situation began to sink in. She was alone, pregnant, and lost in a big city she knew nothing about. As the sun began to set, Zola wandered the streets of Lagos. Her stomach growled with hunger, reminding her that she hadn't eaten since morning. She passed by food vendors, the aroma of their wares making her mouth water, but she had no money to buy anything. "Excuse me," she tried asking a passerby, "do you know where I can find a cheap place to stay?" The person barely glanced at her before hurrying away, leaving Zola feeling even more alone. As darkness fell, Zola's fear grew. She had nowhere to sleep, and the streets were becoming more intimidating by the minute. She kept walking, her feet aching, hoping to find somewhere safe to rest. In a quieter part of the city, Zola spotted an elderly woman locking up what looked like a small shop. Desperate for help, she approached the woman. "Good evening, Ma," Zola said, her voice trembling. "Please, I'm new in this place, and I'm lost. I can't find my way. Could you please let me sleep at your house until tomorrow? Please help me." The elderly woman looked at Zola with surprise and suspicion. "What do you mean you're lost? What are you doing on the street at this time of night? Where are your parents?" she asked, her voice sharp with concern and a hint of accusation. Zola, feeling cornered and desperate, decided to tell the truth. I ran away from home," she admitted, her eyes welling up with tears. "I'm pregnant, and I was scared to tell my parents. I have nowhere to go." The woman's expression changed from surprise to disappointment. "You got pregnant as young as you are? You're already pregnant. You must be a stubborn girl," she said, shaking her head. "Now go away from me. I can't help you." Zola felt her heart sink. She had hoped the woman would take pity on her, but instead, she found herself being chased away once again. With tears streaming down her face, she walked away, feeling more alone than ever. As she continued her aimless wandering, exhaustion began to take over. Zola found a large tree in a quiet area and sat down, leaning against its trunk. Her eyelids felt heavy, and she was just about to drift off when she heard footsteps approaching. Zola's eyes snapped open, and she saw a group of young men walking toward her, their loud voices and aggressive body language making her heart race with fear. Without thinking, she jumped to her feet and started running. "Hey, where are you going?" one of the boys shouted. To Zola's horror, she heard them start to chase her. Her pregnant body protested as she ran as fast as she could, her breath coming in short gasps. "Please God, help me." She prayed silently as she darted down unfamiliar streets, trying to lose her pursuers. After what felt like hours but was probably only minutes, Zola could no longer hear the boys behind her. She slowed down, her lungs burning and her legs shaking. She found herself in a quiet, partially developed area of the city. As she caught her breath, Zola's thoughts turned to her family back in Akur. She imagined her mother discovering her empty room and the note she had left. She could almost hear her father's angry voice and her mother's sobs. The guilt and homesickness washed over her. "I'm sorry, Papa," she whispered into the night, tears falling freely now. As she walked through the quiet area, Zola spotted an unfinished building. It was just a concrete shell with no windows or doors, but it offered some shelter from the elements and prying eyes. Cautiously, she approached the structure. "Hello," she called out softly, making sure no one else was using it as a shelter. When she received no response, she stepped inside. The floor was hard and dusty, but to Zola's exhausted body, it felt like a luxury. She found a corner that was partially hidden from view of the entrance and settled down, using her small bag as a pillow. As she lay there, trying to get comfortable, Zola placed a hand on her stomach. "I'm sorry, little one," she whispered to her unborn child. "I don't know what we're going to do, but I'll figure something out. I promise." The night was long and uncomfortable. Every sound made Zola jump, fearing that someone had found her hiding place. But as the first light of dawn began to filter into the unfinished building, she realized she had made it through her first night in Lagos. Sitting up and stretching her sore muscles, Zola looked around her makeshift shelter. It wasn't much, but for now, it was the only place she had. "I guess this is home now," she said to herself, her voice a mixture of resignation and determination. As the city outside began to wake up, Zola steeled herself for the challenges ahead. She had no money, no food, and no plan, but she was alive, and for now, that had to be enough. With a deep breath, she stepped out of the building, ready to face her first full day in this strange, overwhelming city. As time passed, Zola's pregnancy progressed rapidly. Life in Lagos was incredibly hard for her. Each day was a struggle to find food and stay safe. She often resorted to begging on the streets, approaching strangers with pleading eyes. "Please, can you spare some food?" she would ask passers-by. Some ignored her, while others gave her small portions or a few naira. To earn a little money, Zola started washing clothes for people in the neighborhood. "I can wash your clothes for you," she'd offer to women she saw in the area. "I'll do a good job, I promise." One woman, Mrs. Adabo, became a regular client. "You're a hard worker, Zola," she'd say, handing over a small payment. "But you shouldn't be doing this in your condition." Zola would just nod, grateful for the work. "Thank you, Ma. I have no choice." Months went by like this, with Zola barely scraping by. Then, one evening, as she sat in her makeshift home in the unfinished building, she felt a sharp pain. "Oh no," she gasped, realizing what was happening. "Not now, please, not now." But the baby was coming, and Zola was all alone. She screamed in pain, her cries echoing in the empty structure. "Help! Somebody, help me!" she yelled, but no one was around to hear. For hours, Zola pushed and cried, the pain unlike anything she had ever experienced. "I can't do this," she sobbed, but her body kept working to bring the baby into the world. Finally, with one last agonizing push, the baby was born. Zola, exhausted and in shock, stared at the tiny crying infant. "Hello, little one," she whispered, tears streaming down her face. With shaking hands, she cleaned the baby as best she could, using the cleanest cloth she had. As she held her child, a boy, Zola was filled with a mix of love and despair. She knew she couldn't provide for him. She had no money, no home, no way to keep him healthy and safe. "What am I going to do with you?" she asked the baby, who had quieted and was looking up at her with unfocused eyes. "I want to keep you, but I can't. I'm so sorry." Zola spent the night holding her son, trying to feed him and keep him warm. But as the sun rose, she knew she had to make a difficult decision. She couldn't keep the baby with her. It would be a death sentence for both of them. An idea formed in her mind, a way to give her son a chance at life. It broke her heart, but she knew it was the only way. "I have to be strong," she told herself. "For you, my little one. For you." She looked into his tiny face, her heart heavy with the decision she was about to make. Tears streaming down her cheeks, she spoke softly to him. "My sweet baby," Zola whispered, her voice trembling. "Please forgive me for what I'm about to do. I know you won't understand, but I'm so sorry. This is the only way I can give you a chance at a better life. I want you to know that I love you so much." With shaking hands, Zola wrapped the baby in the cleanest cloth she had. She took a deep breath, steeling herself for what she was about to do. "It's time," she murmured, more to herself than to the baby. Zola stepped out of her shelter, holding her son close. She walked to the next street, where she knew a wealthy family lived. Their large house stood out among the other buildings, a symbol of prosperity that Zola could only dream of. As she approached the mansion, doubt crept into her mind. "What if this doesn't work?" she thought. "What if they don't find him?" But she knew she had to try. It was her son's only chance at a good life. With a final kiss on her baby's forehead, Zola gently placed him near the gate of the mansion. She arranged the cloth to make sure he was comfortable and visible. "Be safe, my love," she whispered before quickly moving away to hide behind a nearby tree. From her hiding spot, Zola watched the gate intently. Minutes passed, feeling like hours to the anxious mother. Finally, the gate opened. Zola held her breath as she saw a well-dressed couple step out. It was the billionaire and his wife. The couple stopped abruptly, their eyes landing on the bundle near their feet. "What's this?" the man asked, bending down to look closer. His wife gasped. It's a baby. Oh my goodness, how did it get here?" They looked around, searching for any sign of who might have left the child. Zola pressed herself against the tree, her heart pounding. "We can't leave it out here," the woman said, carefully picking up the baby. "Let's take him inside and figure out what to do." The couple retreated into their house, carrying Zola's son with them. Zola watched them go, her emotions a mix of relief and heartbreak. She slid down the tree trunk, sobbing quietly. "Be good to him," she pleaded silently to the wealthy couple. "Give him the life I can't." With a heavy heart, Zola stood up and walked away from the billionaire's house. She knew she had made the right decision for her baby, but it didn't make the pain any easier to bear. As she made her way back to her shelter, Zola whispered a final goodbye to her son. "I hope you have a wonderful life, my dear. Maybe someday, somehow, we'll meet again." Inside their luxurious home, Mr. Mark and his wife, Sarah, carefully carried the baby to their bedroom. They placed the infant on their large bed, both staring at the tiny bundle in disbelief. "What do we do now, Mark?" Sarah asked, her voice filled with a mix of concern and excitement. Mark ran his hand through his hair, looking just as bewildered. I'm not sure. We should probably call the police, report this." Sarah gently touched the baby's cheek, her eyes filling with tears. "But look at him, Mark. He's so small, so helpless." The couple exchanged a meaningful look. They had been trying to have a child for years, spending fortunes on fertility treatments, all to no avail. The pain of their inability to conceive had been a constant shadow over their otherwise successful lives. Mark sat down heavily on the edge of the bed. "You know, Sarah, maybe this isn't a coincidence. We've prayed for a child for so long." Sarah nodded, hope blooming in her chest. "Do you think, could this be our miracle?" Mark reached out and took his wife's hand. "Maybe it is. Maybe this is the gift we've been waiting for all these years." They both looked at the baby, who was now sleeping peacefully, unaware of the life-changing decision being made around him. "We could give him a wonderful life," Sarah said softly, "everything we've always wanted to give to our child." Mark nodded, a smile spreading across his face. "You're right. We shall keep the baby. This is our chance to be parents." Tears of joy streamed down Sarah's face as she carefully picked up the baby. "Hello, little one. We're your new mom and dad." Mark wrapped his arms around his wife and their new son. "We need to give him a name. What do you think?" Sarah thought for a moment. "How about Adam? It means defender or protector." "Adam," Mark repeated, testing the name. "I like it. Welcome to the family, Adam." Meanwhile, Zola couldn't shake off the guilt and worry about her decision to leave her baby at the billionaire's mansion. She spent her days and nights walking around the property, her mind filled with questions and doubts. "Did I make the right choice?" she would mutter to herself, staring at the grand gates. "Is my baby okay in there?" One evening, as she paced near the mansion, a security guard approached her. "Miss, are you lost? You've been here for hours," he said. Zola jumped, startled. "No, I'm just walking," she stammered. The guard looked at her suspiciously. "This isn't a public park. You can't stay here." Zola nodded and walked away, her heart heavy. She found a nearby bench and sat down, tears streaming down her face. "I'm sorry, my baby," she whispered. "I hope you're happy in there." Sleep became a luxury for Zola. Every night, she tossed and turned in her makeshift shelter, her mind racing with thoughts of her child. "Is he being cared for? Does he miss me?" she would ask the darkness, receiving no answer. One day, as Zola walked her usual route around the mansion, something caught her eye. A notice was posted on the wall, "Nanny needed." Her heart raced as she read it. "This is it," she whispered to herself. "This could be my chance to see my baby again." Zola stood there, staring at the notice, her mind racing. She knew it was risky. What if they recognize me? What if I can't handle being so close to my child without revealing the truth? She paced back and forth, talking to herself. Should I do this? Can I even pull it off? After hours of internal debate, Zola made her decision. "I have to try," she said firmly. "I need to know he's okay." The next day, Zola cleaned herself up as best she could and went to apply for the job. She rehearsed her story over and over. "Good morning," she said nervously to the woman at the gate. "I'm here about the nanny position." To Zola's surprise, she was ushered in immediately. She found herself sitting across from Mr. Mark and his wife. "So, Zola, tell us about your experience with children," Mr. Mark said. Zola took a deep breath. "I love children," she said, thinking of her baby. I've helped raise my younger siblings and cousins. Mrs. Mark smiled. That's wonderful. How do you handle difficult situations with children? With patience and understanding, Zola replied, her voice steadier now. The interview continued, and to Zola's shock, it ended with Mr. Mark saying, "Well, Zola, we'd like to offer you the position. Can you start tomorrow?" Zola nodded, barely able to speak. As she left the mansion, a mix of excitement and fear filled her. She was going to see her baby again, but at what cost? Zola started her job as a nanny in the Billionaire household, her heart racing every time she saw Adam. She had to remind herself constantly not to show too much emotion. "Good morning, Adam," she'd say softly each day, fighting the urge to scoop him up and never let go. Mrs. Mark noticed Zola's gentle way with the baby. "You're so good with him, Zola," she said one day. "He really seems to like you." Zola smiled nervously. "Thank you, ma'am. He's a wonderful baby." When the family was out, Zola would hold Adam close, whispering to him, "My sweet boy, I'm your mama. I wish I could tell you." She would breastfeed him during these times, cherishing the bond. "This is our secret, okay?" she'd say, tears in her eyes. As weeks passed, Adam began to show a strong preference for Zola. He'd cry when she left the room and calm instantly in her arms. Mr. Mark commented on it one evening. "It's amazing how attached Adam is to you, Zola. You must have a special touch." "Oh, I just try my best, sir," Zola replied, her heart pounding. Mrs. Mark added, "We're so lucky to have found you. Adam clearly loves you." Zola nodded, unable to speak past the lump in her throat. She was grateful for this time with her son, but the secret was becoming harder to bear each day. That night, as she put Adam to bed, she whispered, "I love you so much, my little one, more than you'll ever know." Weeks passed, and Adam began to show a strong preference for Zola. He would cry when she left the room and calm instantly in her arms. Mr. Mark commented on it one evening, "It's amazing how attached Adam is to you, Zola. You must have a special touch." "Oh, I just try my best, sir," Zola replied, her heart pounding. Mrs. Mark added, "We're so lucky to have found you. Adam clearly loves you." Zola nodded, unable to speak past the lump in her throat. She was grateful for this time with her son, but the secret was becoming harder to bear each day. That night, as she put Adam to bed, she whispered, "I love you so much, my little one, more than you'll ever know." One sunny afternoon, Mr. Mark and Sarah were sitting on their patio enjoying the pleasant weather. They watched as Zola played with Adam on a blanket spread out on the lawn. Sarah turned to her husband, a slight frown on her face. "Honey, I don't know, but have you noticed how attached that nanny is to Adam?" Mark nodded, his eyes focused on Zola and the baby. "I was just about to mention that, my darling. We hired her to watch over Adam, but she seems almost too attached to him. It's a bit unusual, don't you think?" They watched as Zola tickled Adam, making him giggle loudly. The sound of the baby's laughter filled the air. "Look at how she looks at him," Mark continued. "It's almost like, well, I don't know. I hope everything is all right with her." Sarah sighed, her expression softening. "Maybe we're overthinking this. She could just be a very dedicated nanny. Some people are naturally good with children." "That's true," Mark agreed, but he still looked concerned. "But don't you find it odd how quickly Adam bonded with her? He cries whenever she's not around." Sarah reached out and patted her husband's hand. "I understand your concerns, but let's not worry too much about it. She's taking excellent care of Adam, and that's what matters most." They fell silent for a moment, watching as Zola gently rocked Adam, who was starting to look sleepy. "You're right," Mark finally said. "She's probably just trying to be a loving nanny. As long as Adam is happy and well cared for, we shouldn't complain." Sarah nodded, smiling as she saw Adam yawn in Zola's arms. "Exactly. Let's be grateful we found someone who cares for our son so deeply." Zola was tidying up Adam's toys in the garden when she noticed Mr. Mark and Sarah talking on the patio. She couldn't hear their words clearly, but their frequent glances in her direction made her uneasy. Pretending to be busy, she moved closer, straining to catch their conversation. As she picked up a stuffed animal, she heard Sarah's voice. "That nanny is so attached to Adam." Zola's heart raced. She bent down, pretending to tie her shoelace, listening intently. Mark's response made her blood run cold. Too attached to the baby. Oh no, Zola thought, her hand shaking slightly as she placed the toy in the basket. She caught more snippets of their conversation, each word increasing her panic. As the couple's discussion ended, Zola straightened up, her mind racing. I have to be more careful, she whispered to herself. They're getting suspicious. I need to watch my steps. She took a deep breath, forcing a calm expression as she turned towards the house, all the while thinking, I can't lose this chance to be with my baby. I have to be smarter about this. For 10 long years, Zola lived a double life in the billionaire's household. Every day was a delicate balance of caring for Adam while hiding her true identity. She poured all her love into her son, savoring every moment they shared. Adam, have you finished your homework? Zola would ask, her voice gentle but firm. Almost done, Nanny Zola, the boy would reply, his face lighting up at her attention. As Adam grew, Zola marveled at his progress. She watched him learn to walk, talk, and eventually excel in his studies. Each milestone filled her with a bittersweet mix of pride and sadness. One evening, as she tucked him into bed, 9-year-old Adam asked, Nanny Zola, why do you always look sad when you think I'm not watching? Zola's heart skipped a beat. Oh Adam, I'm not sad. I'm just thinking sometimes, she replied, forcing a smile. Nanny, can I tell you a secret? 9-year-old Adam whispered. Zola's heart raced. Of course, Adam, you can tell me anything. You're my favorite person in the whole world, he said, hugging her tightly. Zola fought back tears. Oh Adam, you're very special to me too. Mr. Mark often boasted about Adam's achievements. Did you see Adam's latest test scores? He'd say to Sarah. He's at the top of his class again. He's such a smart boy. Sarah would agree, beaming with pride. Zola would listen to these conversations, her heart swelling with pride but aching with a secret she carried. She'd think to herself, that's my boy, my brilliant, beautiful boy. During quiet moments, Zola would sometimes allow herself to imagine a different life. What if I had kept him? She'd wonder. But then she'd look around at the luxurious home, the opportunities Adam had, and remind herself why she made her choice. Nanny Zola, can you help me with this math problem? Adam would call, snapping her out of her thoughts. Of course, Adam, she'd respond, grateful for another chance to be close to her son. Let's figure it out together. One afternoon, 9-year-old Adam was playing in the sitting room, running around with his toy airplane. As he zoomed past the ornate glass table, his elbow caught the edge of a delicate glass ornament. It toppled off the table and shattered on the marble floor with a loud crash. Adam froze, his eyes wide with fear. Oh no, he whispered. The sound of breaking glass echoed through the house. Within seconds, Sarah rushed into the room, her eyes darting from the broken glass to Adam, who was standing stock still next to the table. What? Sarah exclaimed, her face turning red with anger. Adam, you broke that glass on the table? I've told you so many times not to play near that table. Before Adam could explain or apologize, Sarah grabbed him by the arm and started spanking him. How many times do I have to tell you? That glass was expensive. Zola, who had been in the kitchen, ran into the room when she heard the commotion. Her heart broke as she watched Sarah punishing Adam. It took every ounce of self-control not to intervene. She clenched her fists, fighting the urge to protect her son. After the beating, Adam ran to his room, sobbing. Sarah, still fuming, stormed back to her own room without a word to Zola. Zola waited a few minutes, then quietly knocked on Adam's door. Adam, can I come in? A muffled, yes, came from inside. Zola entered to find Adam curled up on his bed, his face streaked with tears. She sat down beside him and gently stroked his back. I know you're sad now, Adam, Zola said softly. What happened was an accident. Next time, if you want to play, just come outside with me, okay? I'm always here for you. Adam looked up at her, his eyes red and puffy. I didn't mean to break it, he sniffled. I was just playing. I know, sweetheart, Zola soothed. Accidents happen. Adam sat up and threw his arms around Zola. I just wish you were my mother, he cried. I love you so much. Zola felt her heart shatter. Tears welled up in her eyes as she hugged Adam tightly. If only he knew the truth. Please stop crying, Adam said, noticing Zola's tears. Did I say something wrong? I wish my mom was like you, Zola quickly wiped her eyes. No, you didn't say anything wrong, she assured him. Don't worry about your mother, Adam. She's not a bad person. She was just angry because that glass was expensive. She loves you very much. But you never get angry like that, Adam pointed out. Everyone shows love differently, Adam. Your mother loves you in her own way. After comforting Adam for a while longer, Zola left his room. As she closed the door, she heard Adam whisper, I wish my mother was just like my nanny. Zola leaned against the wall outside Adam's room, overwhelmed by emotion. The irony of the situation wasn't lost on her. She was Adam's real mother, yet she couldn't tell him. She had to watch another woman raise her son, sometimes in ways she didn't agree with, and there was nothing she could do about it. Oh, Adam, she whispered to herself, if only you knew how much I love you. After comforting Adam, Zola retreated to her small room in the servants' quarters. As soon as she closed the door, she broke down in tears. My baby, she sobbed quietly, sinking onto her bed. Oh, Adam, if only you knew. Zola's mind raced with Adam's words. I wish you were my mother. The irony of it all was too much to bear. I am your mother, she whispered to the empty room. I've always been your mother. As her tears subsided, a dangerous thought began to form in Zola's mind. Maybe I should tell him the truth, she muttered. Maybe we could leave this place together. But quickly, doubt set in. No, it's too risky, she argued with herself. What if they don't believe me? What if they take Adam away? Zola paced her small room, torn between her desire to claim her son and the reality of their situation. There has to be a way, she said. I just need to find it. After that emotional day, Zola couldn't shake the idea of revealing the truth to Adam. She spent nights tossing and turning, imagining different scenarios. I could just tell him outright, she mumbled one night, but then thought, no, he's so young, he might not understand. During the day, she watched Adam closely, noticing his growing sadness. One afternoon, she found him staring out the window instead of doing his homework. Adam, sweetie, aren't you supposed to be studying? She asked gently. Adam sikit. What's the point? Mom and Dad are never around to see my grades anyway. Zola's heart ached. They're just busy with work, Adam. They still care about you. But you're always here, Adam said, looking at her with sad eyes. Why can't they be more like you? Zola swallowed hard, fighting back tears. Everyone has different responsibilities, Adam. Your parents love you very much. As Adam turned back to the window, Zola thought, oh my sweet boy, if only I could tell you the whole truth. Days later, Adam's life had turned into a nightmare. Once known throughout the school for his intelligence and academic prowess, the popular and brilliant boy now found himself struggling. His grades had plummeted dramatically, dropping from first place to third from last in his class. At home, the situation was equally dire. His father would bellow at him, his face red with anger. What's wrong with you, Adam? How could you let your grades slip like this? He shouted, waving Adam's report card in the air. His mother was no better. She'd yell and call him names, her words cutting deep. Are you trying to embarrass us? You used to be so smart. What happened to our brilliant son? She said, her voice dripping with disappointment. Neither of them seemed to care about what might be troubling their only child. They didn't take the time to sit down with Adam and ask if something was wrong or if he needed help. Their busy schedules and high expectations left no room for understanding or compassion. The constant criticism and lack of support at home took its toll on Adam. He became lost in his thoughts, his mind a whirlpool of sadness and confusion. This internal turmoil directly impacted his academic performance, leading to a breakdown in his studies. At school, his teachers noticed the change. Mrs. Johnson, his English teacher, approached him one day after class. Adam, is everything all right? You seem very distracted lately, she asked gently. Adam just shrugged, avoiding eye contact. I'm fine, he mumbled, even though he was far from it. Mr. P, his math teacher, also tried to reach out. Adam, your grades have dropped significantly. Is there something bothering you? You can talk to me if you need help, he offered. But Adam wouldn't open up to them. He simply shook his head and walked away, leaving his concerned teachers at a loss. The only person Adam felt he could turn to was Zola. One evening, as she was helping him with his homework, he finally broke down. "Nanny Zola," he said, his voice quivering, "I don't know what to do anymore. Nothing I do seems good enough for Mom and Dad." Zola's heart ached as she listened to her son's pain. "Oh, Adam," she said softly, putting an arm around his shoulders, "what makes you feel that way?" Adam's words came out in a rush. "They're always yelling at me about my grades. They don't care about anything else. They don't even ask how I'm feeling or if something's wrong. It's like they only love me when I'm perfect." Zola fought back tears as she hugged Adam close. "Your parents love you very much, Adam. They just have a hard time showing it sometimes. But I'm here for you always. You can tell me anything, okay?" Adam nodded, burying his face in Zola's shoulder. In that moment, Zola wished more than ever that she could tell Adam the truth, that she was his real mother and that she loved him unconditionally. But for now, all she could do was hold him and offer what comfort she could. Adam's academic performance had been suffering due to his worries about his parents' busy schedules and their seeming lack of interest in his life. Once a top student, he had slipped to the middle of his class. However, with Zola's constant support and encouragement, Adam started to regain his focus on his studies. One day after class, Adam's teacher, Mrs. Okafor, called out to him. "Adam, can I speak with you for a moment?" Adam turned back, a bit nervous. "Yes, Mrs. Okafor?" Mrs. Okafor smiled warmly. "Adam, I've noticed a significant improvement in your academic performance lately. Your grades have shot up, and you're participating more in class discussions. I'm really impressed with the new Adam I'm seeing." Adam beamed with pride. "Thank you, Mrs. Okafor. I've been trying harder." "Well, your efforts haven't gone unnoticed," Mrs. Okafor continued. "In fact, I've spoken with the school principal about you. We would like you to represent our school in the upcoming national competition. It's a contest between 2,000 different schools across Nigeria." Adam's eyes widened in surprise and excitement. "Really? Me?" Mrs. Okafor nodded. "Yes, you. We believe you have the potential to do very well." Adam couldn't contain his excitement. "Thank you so much, Mrs. Okafor. I promise I'll do my best. I want to put our school on the map as one of the best schools, not just in Nigeria, but in all of Africa." Mrs. Okafor's face lit up with delight at Adam's enthusiasm. "That's the spirit, Adam. Your newfound wisdom and dedication are truly impressive. Keep up the great work, and I'm sure you'll make us all proud." As Adam left the classroom, he couldn't wait to share the news with Zola. He found her in the kitchen preparing dinner. "Nanny Zola! Nanny Zola!" he called out excitedly. "You won't believe what happened today." Zola turned to him, smiling at his enthusiasm. "What is it?" "Mrs. Okafor said I'm going to represent our school in a big competition. It's against 2,000 other schools in Nigeria." Adam exclaimed. Zola's face beamed with pride. "Oh, Adam, that's wonderful news. I'm so proud of you." Adam hugged Zola tightly. "It's all thanks to you, Nanny. You always listen to me and encourage me. You make me want to do better." Zola felt tears welling up in her eyes as she hugged her son back. "You did all the hard work, Adam. You should be very proud of yourself." As they celebrated Adam's achievement, Zola couldn't help but feel a mix of joy and sadness. She was immensely proud of her son, but she wished she could share this moment with him as his mother, not just his nanny. The school competition arrived quickly, and Adam put his whole heart into representing his school. He had spent weeks preparing, staying up late to study and practice. On the day of the competition, Adam felt a mix of excitement and nervousness as he stood on the stage. "You can do this, Adam," he whispered to himself, taking a deep breath before starting his presentation. His hard work paid off. Adam's performance was outstanding, impressing both the judges and the audience. When the results were announced, Adam's school was declared the winner, recognized as one of the best schools in the area. "And the winner is Adam from St. Mary's School," the announcer's voice boomed through the speakers. The entire auditorium erupted in cheers. Adam's classmates rushed to congratulate him, patting him on the back and shouting words of praise. "You did it, Adam," his best friend Tom exclaimed. "You were amazing up there." Adam's exceptional showing caught the attention of government officials present at the event. The governor, impressed by Adam's brilliance and bravery, made a decision on the spot. "This young man represents the best of our state," the governor announced. "I'm proud to award Adam a prize of 20 million naira for his outstanding performance." The crowd gasped at the amount. Adam stood there stunned, unable to believe what he had just heard. Later that day, the school principal called Adam to his office. He handed Adam a letter, his face beaming with pride. "Adam, make sure you give this to your parents," the principal said, his voice filled with excitement. "You're such a brilliant kid. The governor of our state has confirmed a cash prize of 20 million naira for you. Your parents will receive it next week." Adam took the letter with shaking hands. "Thank you, sir," he managed to say, still in shock from the day's events. When Adam got home, he found Sarah sitting on the couch, scrolling through her phone. He approached her, his heart pounding with excitement to share the news. "Good afternoon, Mom," Adam greeted, trying to keep his voice steady. Sarah looked up from her phone. "Oh, my baby boy. How are you doing? How's school? I hope you didn't get into trouble with anyone," she asked, her tone more distracted than concerned. "I heard your mother screaming," Adam said. "What's the good news?" Zola asked, her voice filled with concern and interest. Adam looked up at Zola, feeling a sense of comfort in her presence. "My teacher gave me a prize for my parents," he explained. "He told me I won it for performing well at the school competition." Zola's eyes lit up with pride. "This is great. I trust you. Now tell me exactly what this prize is," she urged, sitting down next to Adam on the bed. Adam took a deep breath before answering. "My teacher told me I won a prize of 20 million naira, sponsored by the governor of our state," he revealed, still hardly believing it himself. Zola's jaw dropped, and she almost fainted upon hearing the amount. "What a huge prize," she whispered, more to herself than to Adam. Unable to control her emotions, Zola quickly stood up. That's wonderful, Adam. You deserve it," she said hastily before leaving the room and retreating to her own quarters. Sitting alone in her small room, Zola's mind raced. Adam won a prize of 20 million naira, she thought, her heart swelling with pride and pain. "So this billionaire family is going to get all that money won by my son? That's impossible. This is the time to fight and get what is mine," she said quietly to herself. The idea of revealing her true identity as Adam's real mother consumed her thoughts. She paced back and forth in the small space, weighing the pros and cons. "It's going to be hard," she muttered. "But with that prize money, our lives could change forever. We could have a fresh start, just Adam and me." Zola stopped pacing, her resolve hardening. "Whatever happens, I shall get Adam back as my son. I'm his real mother. I carried him for 9 months," she declared to the empty room. Taking a deep breath, Zola left her room and walked back to Adam's door. Her hands were shaking as she knocked softly. "Come in," Adam's voice called out. Zola entered the room, her heart pounding. Adam was sitting at his desk, working on some homework. "Nanny, is something wrong? Why do you look so scared?" Adam asked, noticing her distress. Zola stood there frozen. The words she had rehearsed in her mind refused to come out. The more she tried to speak, the more frightened she became. "Adam," she finally managed to say, her voice trembling. "Please, there's something I want to tell you." Adam put down his pen and turned to face Zola fully, concern etched on his young face. "What is it, Nanny? You can tell me anything," he said, his voice full of trust and affection. Zola took a deep breath, knowing that what she was about to say would change everything. The truth that she had kept hidden for so long was about to come out, and there was no going back. If you want to find out what happens next in this touching story, please subscribe to African Tales by Rosa. We'd love to hear your thoughts, so leave a comment below and type "continue" if you're ready for episode 2. Your feedback will help us create more wonderful stories for you. Thank you for joining us on this journey.